I did a video not long ago regarding Lily Phillips and the 101 Men in the documentary that was made. Now, I've kept up with the recent updates, the 50 Men in the Back Door, what they called a challenge. Um, some other things, her friend who had to go get reconstructive surgery due to the 50 men in the back door in one day, the elderly man, and I have some things definitely to say. Lily Phillips didn't just sleep with 101 men in a day, right? She smiled in a photo next to a dying man who could barely even walk, and she called it content, and so did we. This isn't, and she went viral again. This isn't just corn. Sorry, I can't say the word. This is the collapse of empathy, broadcasted, monetized, and applauded at times, or even just commentary. Serial killers have testified that corn desensitized them, distorted their empathy, and fueled their escalation. They said these things after they were sentenced. So, what happens when the most extreme acts become viral trends? You're about to find out. Serial killers don't start with unaliving people, do they? They start with the fantasy, the escalation, the control, and they always believe that they have reason. Lily Phillips hasn't taken a life, but she is following what I would say is the same psychological blueprint that people like Bundy, Ridgway, and more followed. It's desensitization, it's dopamine objectification, and then justification. We have seen this in interviews and more. The scariest part, she's smiling while she does it, right? Lily Phillips content isn't just disturbing because of what she is doing, it's disturbing because of what it might awaken in someone watching, just like we know now that it has before. See, we have to be honest with ourselves. I feel like people have the halo effect when it comes to her. She must be a victim or something. No, serial killers have openly stated that pornography, voyeurism, and the progressive loss of empathy played a serious role in how they would dehumanize their victims. And when that kind of content becomes, I would say, mainstream, normalized, even celebrated in some ways, it doesn't just affect the performer, it primes others. And in the wrong mind, what would that do? That's not content, that's a trigger. And we've been warned about this. Ted Bundy, in his final interview in 1989, he said, I'm no social scientist and I haven't done a survey, but I've lived in a prison for a long time now. And I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography. He wasn't just blaming corn, he was warning us. It's the pattern, dehumanization, repetition, numbness that primes the mind for darker fantasies. Jeffrey Dahmer, in his FBI interviews, said something, I think, along the lines of, it started with watching and fantasizing, and then it wasn't enough. We've heard this before. Does that sound familiar? Lily's content is built on that exact escalation. Numbers, extremes, violation of boundaries, elderly targets, humiliation that's based as challenges. We know that for some men, consuming this kind of content is the first domino in a much darker sequence. If she's willing to smile and pose next to a barely standing man on a walker for views, how do we know one of her followers isn't out there thinking, I want to do more than watch? That's the fear here, and it's valid because it's happened before. So, yes, this is dangerous. What she's doing is dangerous, and she knows this. Lily is the perfect storm. She's attractive, she's soft spoken, she hides escalation under a layer of like this calm and sex positivity, and I did this stuff before all that. And she gives men, especially lonely, unwell men, and I would say a fantasy of domination without limits. So those men, some of them aren't just watching. Some are fantasizing, some are numbed out by regular corn. Some are looking for the next step. And that's, I have to say, like, what's that next step for someone who's watched 100-man gangbangs and elderly fetish content? It could be a woman who doesn't say no. It could be, let's say, someone unconscious. It could be a body. When someone pushes their body to the point of internal collapse and then packages it as a viral challenge, you're no longer under the guise of just talking about sex. You're talking about self-harm, desensitization to pain, glorification of physical trauma, digital self-mutilation for validation. That's not a that's not a sexual act. That's a broadcasted mental health emergency disguised as clout. Desensitization equals escalation, which equals objectification, which equals collapse. That's what we are seeing. We are watching that pattern through Lily's lens. She isn't taking lives, but she is consuming dignity. She is using people as props, especially now the elderly. Like, are you kidding me? If that was my grandpa, it would be on. Gary Ridgway would pick victims no one would defend. So does Lily. But I'm here to defend them and say something very clearly. Her OnlyFans should be shut down. And whatever leads to her collapse should happen right now. The psychology is identical, okay, between her and, I would say, serial killers. Ridgway discarded lives, Lily discards dignity. It's basically like saying, this person can't stop me, no one will defend them, so I can use them for what I want. And that's exactly what she's doing. With that type of logic, that's what they share. And if that doesn't chill you, it should. I don't feel bad for her anymore. There's no halo up there. People need to take that off of her. We've talked about the psychology, but now let's talk about the brain, because this isn't just about choices. It's about what part of the brain is really making those choices, or what part isn't. So we know that the frontal lobe governs empathy, judgment, impulse control. In serial killers, many times in compulsive exploitative people, it's underactive or it's damaged. The frontal lobe is. They can't feel the full emotional weight of their actions. And I've seen this in interviews with her. The amygdala is where we process the fear, emotional memory, and the suffering in most, and what I would say, in most of us. If you were to hurt someone, it fires up with guilt or pain. In people who become numb to suffering, it goes completely quiet. And then there's the pineal gland. Some of us will call this the seat of the soul, the gateway to higher awareness, moral clarity, and inner truth. So what happens exactly when a person ignores all three? When their frontal lobe doesn't regulate, their amygdala doesn't respond anymore, and their pineal gland, if it's even active, is buried under layers of dopamine validation. What do you think happens? You get someone who doesn't just do harm. You get someone who believes that it's okay and who films it, smiles through it, and calls it freedom. That's not just psychopathy. And I'm no whatever you want to call it, but there's something about her that's not okay. It's a spiritual blindness. It's a collapse not only of the nervous system, but of the soul. Bonnie Blue She preys on barely legal guys, boys who like just turned 18 or whatever age that she goes to these countries to try to find them. But Lily Phillips preys on elderly men now who might not even know where they are and might have some type of dementia or something. They're on opposite ends of life, but it's the same object. Who is the least likely to fight back? Who is the most easy to, like manipulate? Who will not be protected? That man in the walker, that may be the last photo ever taken of him. Not with his family, not at a birthday, but being used as a prop in some OnlyFans influencer's next escalation stunt. You want to talk about sick? That's not just unethical. That's a public violation of a life's final chapter. The moment that she stepped into a room and used a man who could barely walk as content, that was the moment she crossed the line. Imagine if a 22-year-old man did that with an elderly woman. And the saddest part is, so many of us tried to humanize her. We watched her cry over 101 men and gave her the benefit of the doubt. But now look at how far she has fallen. And look what she's dragging down with her. What's next at this point? Is it going to be a paraplegic? Is it going to be someone on their deathbed? A person with a severe disability who can't say no but won't stop her either, and it will blur the lines between consent, because that's what escalation does. It pushes the line until there's nothing left but horror. She doesn't need sympathy. She has already said this. She needs a reckoning, because what she's doing isn't freedom. It's broadcasted descent into moral collapse. And if we keep watching, if we keep laughing, if we keep excusing, then the next time a man says it started with corn, but it wasn't enough, we won't just be shocked anymore, because we've already been told this by multiple serial killers. This isn't just about Lily Phillips. This is about what she reveals. We are witnessing the unraveling of empathy, packaged as sex, monetized as entertainment, and shared by millions with no second thought about how dark this could end up being. Her smile next to a dying man, her body pushed to the brink, her audience clapping like it's some type of joke. That's not content. That's a warning sign. And if you can't see it yet, then maybe it's already too late. Because when someone turns collapse into performance, and we call it empowerment, or whatever we want to justify this as, we don't just lose our outrage, we lose our humanity. And that's what I'm afraid that this is coming down to. So go ahead and comment. Let me know what you think. I am very disturbed by this person. This is the last video that I will make regarding her. I wanted to make this video, and I really questioned myself, but I wanted to make this video because I want to warn people that we are allowing someone to go viral who is, I feel, a very deeply disturbed person, and who at this point is, man, when I saw that picture of that elderly man, it brought me to tears. I can't believe that this is acceptable, that this is happening, and that this is legal and even allowed. If this was a 22-year-old man who is doing this to elderly women and purposely seeking them out, and his content is going viral, what would we really say then? I feel that we treat women who are predators, because that's what I'm going to call her. She's a predator. We treat men or women, excuse me, that are predators differently than men that are predators, because we see that these beautiful women, we put a little halo effect around them, and we don't see behind the lens of what is actually going on. She is a predator. She should not be allowed to even make this type of content, any content at all. She should be completely deplatformed. I don't care. You start bringing elderly people or barely legal people into this situation like Bonnie Blue is, you're done for. You should not be able to do this anymore. How extreme do we need to go? As you can tell, I'm deeply disturbed. Um, this has definitely affected me emotionally due to things that I have dealt with in my past and how people specifically targeted me for certain things. And when I see this happening, it's definitely something that makes me see it through a different lens as someone who has been targeted in a way for people to exploit me, for them to make money and more. And that's what we see Lily Phillips doing, exploiting people to make money off of them for her content. And I'm done trying to say that she's some victim or something happened with her parents or whatever. She is a grown woman who is making choices that are affecting many people's lives at the hands of her being able to make money and to become viral. And to if we continue, right, to feed this monster, what do we think is going to happen in the end? She's she she's a predator. I'll leave it at that. Um yeah, I just can't.